Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel Mecaniquesportive. This is Nicola. Today I'm presenting the Toyota Yaris Cross to you again because I wanted to test it again and go back to reviewing cars that are a bit more affordable. And you'll see, this one is made in France and it's one of the most produced cars in France. So I thought, what better than to test what's selling the most here and to try it out again in more everyday use. Because often we test them during press events, so basically we have about half a day or a day to try out the cars. This time I decided to test it in real everyday life, including highway driving and fuel consumption. I'm taking it grocery shopping. By the way, since I've had this car for a few days already, I can tell you about it better right after this shoot. And in the conclusion, we'll look at all the positive points and other aspects of this car, so I'll quickly go over its features for you. We've already seen the exterior. Now, I'll show you the interior again before we take it for a test drive to check its fuel consumption. I'd like to thank everyone who subscribes and everyone who leaves likes and comments. It's really important to me, and a huge thank you to the community that supports me and joins the channel subscription every month. That's really a huge thank you to you. I always reply to all your comments and everything else. Thank you so much. And, as you know now, all the videos that reach 100,000 views, I randomly select a comment to send you a €100 gift card. So don't hesitate to comment, and make sure that all the channel's videos can reach 100,000. Returning to the Toyota Yaris Cross, one of the best-selling models, we'll find ample parts available. So even for that, it's a good thing. The fact that they have a lot of cars on the market, that also has its advantages. It allows us to know a bit more about reliability and other things. And the advantage of Toyota is that it's true. Toyota is quite well known for its reliability. I take a lot of taxis, ride-hailing cars, and others, and almost all of them drive Toyota or Lexus. There are a few more and more electric cars coming in. Toyota will also be coming with the new BZ, 4X, and so on. They're going to get a bit more into electric vehicles. For now, there was the hybrid phase. They're trying to push plug-in hybrids a bit, and for me, hybrids like that are still the best solution. But for my daily needs, electric cars are great, and plug-in hybrids can also be a real advantage. Share your thoughts about this in the comments. Yaris Cross is only available as a regular hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid. We have the choice between the 116 horsepower engine or the 130 horsepower engine like the one I have today. It's available in two-wheel or four-wheel drive. The 116 horsepower version is front-wheel drive only. The 130 horsepower version can be either front-wheel drive or intelligent all-wheel drive, like I have here. The all-wheel drive intelligent, which stands for all-wheel drive intelligent, also with 130 horsepower. So, what does 116 horsepower or 130 horsepower mean? It means you get a bit more torque. You get 141 newton meters on the 116 horsepower versions and 185 on these versions, and it goes from 0 to 100 in 11 seconds. The 116 horsepower model takes 12 seconds, while the 130 horsepower takes 10.7 seconds. The difference is noticeable, albeit small. But the advantage is that, for example, if you live in the mountains or in conditions where there's a bit of snow and so on, the four-wheel drive could be more interesting for better traction. Otherwise, I recommend the 116 version. Basically, it does the job more than well enough. The engine is the 3-cylinder 1.5-liter, which always works with this electric part plus the combustion engine. And here we have another electric component. For the small engine in the back, it's the 5th-generation engine. It works very well. You'll see that in terms of fuel consumption, we do pretty well, except on the highway, where it uses a little bit more. So as an everyday car, I really recommend it to everyone. But for someone who drives a lot on the highway, I would recommend a Corolla or something like that instead. A more aerodynamic, lower car that uses less fuel. We have it in several versions. There's the Design, the GR Sport, and the Premier, the GR Sport versions. Or a slightly stiffer suspension with bars. It's a bit more rigid, which makes the car more dynamic. But do we really want that with a Yaris Cross? Not necessarily. Honestly, I have to admit that I prefer to prioritize comfort with this kind of car. And in this Premier version, for me, it's very pleasant. I'll show you again inside, but to drive, it's pretty nice. It's a car that feels quite light. It weighs between 1,650 and 1,800 kilos. Let's say this four-wheel drive is the heaviest, but honestly, the 1,800 kilos don't feel that heavy. In terms of dimensions, we're looking at a car that's 4 meters 18 long, which is still compact for this type of small SUV. 1 meter 77 wide and 1 meter 60 high, where you can see roof bars here. In addition to a panoramic roof, you can attach, for example, a roof box, bike racks, or other accessories. Be careful, though, if you put on bike racks, we have a glass roof and a wheelbase of 2 meters 56. I'll show you in the back seats how it looks. to see if I have enough space when I do this. 1 meter 80. It's a small car, so it's called a city car with a turning diameter of 10 meters 60 between curbs and 11 meters 20 between walls. Often, we're in the city and there are curbs. That's fine. And as you can see, it's pretty high, which allows you to get through almost anywhere. The cross symbol usually indicates versatility, like in crossovers, so that's typically what it means. There was this new green color that came out at the time. So it's aventurine green, which is pretty nice. It's a bit different. We've got keyless entry, we've got the head-up display, and the mirrors fold in. Anyway, still, quite a few options with this car that actually lets you have everything you need today. Adaptive cruise control and lane centering, known as Level 2 control. Anyway, honestly, we have everything we need in this model. And on top of that, it has the new version, the new software version. So the driving aids are also a bit improved compared to before. You can put 36 liters of gas in the tank. We'll see how that goes. With a full tank, it displayed a range of 700 kilometers. Look, what I'm going to do is take you like this directly, go around again, talk about the design. So you can see that it's a small SUV. It's raised. We have plastic all around the body here to give it a bit more of an adventurous look. At the front, we have 100% LED lighting. So hold on, I'll turn it on for you like this. But I like to do everything live. There we go. Let's start the car. I'll turn off the air conditioning. So can I start it from here? The air conditioning is off, and I'll turn on the lights for you. So with the lights on, you can see. So we have the daytime running lights on top and the headlight that turns on right here. And when we switch to high beams, the second one also turns on, so it's fully LED as well. The LED turn signals are right here on the side. It's pretty nice. We have a small deflector here in the front, which affects the aerodynamics. We have nice lighting. The light signature is pretty cool, and this is what it looks like from the front. It reminds me a little bit of a small SUV from an American brand. I don't know. You too, feel free to tell me in the comments. There you go. And so, at the front, we have a hood that's rather high. The Toyota logo, which now isn't surrounded by blue anymore when it's a hybrid. This grille with comma shapes reminds me of the Odyssey. It's on the new A3S and other models. The front camera, since we have a 360-degree camera package, which is a plus on this kind of car. A small grille at the bottom front as well, and the splitter, which is painted on this version, and the fog lights, which you can find here, all the way at the bottom. I would have liked the fog lights to turn on when steering at night, but there's no cornering light. That could have been a nice extra, just a little message to Toyota. If you can activate this option, it would really be a big plus. So the wheel arches like this, around the rims, this is what it looks like. They're actually pretty nice. These are 18-inch wheels right now, so they're the largest diamond cut ones. Like this. Disc brakes at the front and at the rear. The small Yaris cross badge, which reminded me of those simple fridge-style handles. We even have the cameras, so under the side mirrors, right here, for the 360-kilometer pack. We have a two-tone, so it's black on the top. Color here. What else do we have? Here, it's matte color. And what's good about it being matte is that it doesn't get scratched. Like most cars that use plastic, this is a very good idea from Toyota. And so the cut here, which lines up with the spoiler here at the back, is quite long to play up the hero side. The shark fin antenna and the glass roof, as you can see right there at the back, you can recognize a bit of Toyota, the brand. It even looks like a little bump. Now, with this part here, very flat, and these sections that come back on the sides. There's also a small deflector here for water, the arch is there, and just like at the front, they've streamlined the rear with reflectors. And here's what it looks like. From the back, you might almost think there's a light strip running all the way across when the car's off. But no, it's only on the ends. Here, you can see it, the Toyota logo. I prefer when the camera is centered and everything is nicely aligned. An offset camera throws me off a bit. However, the handle to open the trunk is right here. The wiper is very handy, the rear windows are tinted, and the Yaris name is mentioned on this side. It only says Yaris, not Yaris Cross. Cross is only written on the sides. And on this side, you can see hybrid electric vehicle for hybrid, electric vehicle for electric vehicle, so hybrid electric vehicle, and all-wheel drive, intelligent, which stands for all-wheel drive intelligent. At the bottom, there's a small plastic part, but everything else is painted. You can see it. With the metallic paint, honestly, it looks really nice in terms of the trunk space. Hold on, because I forgot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 320 liters, because I have my little note. It's 397 liters or 320 liters. On this version, so 320 liters on this version because it's the four-wheel drive version. A small engine in the back. So 397, which is almost 400 liters. And so 320 in this drive version. This is what it looks like with my shopping bags for later. I'll show you part of it in this video. There is storage on both sides. As you can see, it can still fit a fairly large bag. That's actually an advantage. And underneath, I still have a little bit of space left for the tire repair kit. You can see that we don't have a spare wheel. On the other hand, I think we could put a space saver spare here, and I suppose Toyota offers it as an option. We'll see. And then, so we have the part with the cup holder here, the armrest, and the two seats. The bench has a 40/20/40 split, and the trunk features a top tether anchor and a 12-volt outlet. If you want to put a small cooler for the summer, like right now when it's really hot, and something to hang the nets right there, and a flexible parcel shelf, which is nice because sometimes it lets you put things that stick out a little bit without damaging anything and without having to remove the parcel shelf. For example, if I have something bigger, it just goes like this on the parcel shelf and it lets you fill the trunk better. And I know, oh look, there's even another one going by over there, Yaris Cross. Yeah, well, it's one of the best-selling cars in France. There we go. I know you. It's harder to film like this. You see that Nico fits into 320 liters. This spot is actually fine. Even if it closed up, it would still be pretty convenient, so it works well. There we go. We're coming back out. And I'll still give you back the tripod for the back seats. So, about the back seats. All right, I'm opening it. I have a door here, entirely made of hard plastic. Well, something pretty simple. Handles. All plastic, really, all plastic, where there's just a little bit of work done on the plastic. But it's honestly still really basic. So this seat here, it's adjusted for me in a relaxed driving position. So if Nicholas, who's 1.80 meters, I close this here, so when I sit normally, I still have a little bit of space here. Knowing that here, I leaned back a little, really. Driving, relaxing, yeah. I have some space under my feet, though, because the seats are mounted on rails that are a little bit raised. So under the seat, I can slide my feet in pretty easily, and it's fine with the seats. On the other hand, it seems like there's incredible support. We've got two big pockets in the back and at head level. I've still got a little bit of space left. However, when I turn my head slightly, I touch the edges of this part. If you're very tall, you can settle in with the back of your head resting against it. And here, for sleeping, it's fine. Anyway, most people who are 6 feet tall usually have their own car most of the time. Often it's because we're already older, although young people these days really eat well. And I feel like they're all gigantic. Here, I'm sitting comfortably. The seat comes all the way to the back of my legs. I have good support. It's pretty good. And I can also open this glass roof section like this manually. I must admit it's already brighter and nicer. However, during this test, the temperature will exceed 33 degrees. I was glad to have the curtains, as some cars don't have any at all. I appreciated their presence. So, this central part here, I just pull it normally, which gives me a central armrest. It's all plastic, something very basic. In case there are only 4 of you and you're going on a longer trip, it can be a plus to have an armrest right here. Then, however, I have to admit that it's still pretty tight when the armrest is there, but it still lets you rest there. The third seat belt, very good from Toyota. It's directly on the bench seat, which is pretty rare for this kind of car. Well, here to get to the middle seat, you really have to turn your feet. So, as a 6-foot-tall person, I come and sit down with the glass roof above me. On the other hand, my head really comes up and touches here at the foot level. A size 44 would almost fit. There's a small central tunnel, so I put my feet on it, but my feet are really turned out like this because I can't put them in front. The backrest is quite firm. The seat here is pretty soft. But when I sit all the way back, there's a pretty hard part in the padding, so I can feel it a bit on my backside. And there are the seat belts. While there's some space on the sides, at 6 feet tall, I wouldn't recommend this seat. You'll be more comfortable on the sides anyway. But for a child, for a short trip, it should be just fine. Or just to help out. Even for going to school, you can take the kids to school like this. We have the fixed International Standards Organization FIX attachments on these 2 seats here, but not on the front, so no child seats there. And what if I take you inside with me? From here, this is what it looks like with this big panoramic roof. So now, this lets you see me really well. Unfortunately, we don't have any ventilation in the back. It's really just for the front, so air conditioning only in the front, but still with dual zone. And here's the view we have. It really looks like a Toyota and the modern ones with a big screen, plus a fully digital screen behind the wheel. To show a bit about the doors, I'd stop there, so a small reverse trade. And there, I just noticed it now, especially now. And on video, you can see it's really bulging. It really widens the car. I think it's pretty stylish. And on this side, we have the fuel cap. All right, I'm getting in directly. So the doors here, we have the same thing. Hard plastics. Here, it's also hard plastics, just covered by a kind of light fabric. Here, something still pretty basic. As for the doors, it's the same. There's only plastic. And the handle here, which I like, this is something well designed, while other brands just have a small handle. Here, we're looking at the door, which can fit a large 1.5-liter bottle, a real advantage. These are JBL speakers, here as well, and up there it is. This is what it looks like when it's closed. Mirror controls here, and the windows right here. You can fold the mirrors using these little buttons here. It's automatic. As soon as the car locks, it activates, then we accept that. For example, I'm going to go to the settings here, so there you go, on the car, okay? It's ready to start. A fully digital screen. On this side, you can see my average right here. You can change the information a little bit. Here, I can switch menus forward to the side. For example, see the battery have slightly different gauges or also slightly different information. Personally, I like to leave it like this, for example, with my consumption on the side. Or see the elapsed time in electric driving. Or, for example, sometimes check the remaining battery level. As for the steering wheel, that's something we're familiar with at Toyota Max to give you a better overview. A perfectly round steering wheel, so that makes me happy. No flat bottom, no weird shape. It's really a plus to have a round steering wheel, in my opinion. With gills on the sides. On this side, it's more for media and scrolling through the display up there, modified. Here, for example, to go into this menu and scroll down and so on, the information we have here. To enter the settings, I come here and, for example, to disable the warning beeps. So to do that, I will, in the settings menu, I click OK, I go to RSA, I click OK, and I have disabled it. So this time, the sign reading, and it shows me here that it's disabled. Thank God that we can disable it. Then a voice command picking up the phone and the feedback. And on this side, these are the driving aids on this whole upper part here. So activating the lane centering here. This is the limiter or adaptive cruise control. Next, we're going to choose our modes right here. So either cruise control, just the basic cruise mode, or limiter mode. The best is adaptive. That's the ideal for me, I think. After that, you can choose by selecting the modes and the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, then the modes. This controls the radio, allowing you to switch between Bluetooth, radio, or other modes and adjust the music playback speed. When you activate the driving aids and cancel to switch back directly, or as soon as you touch the brake pedal, it cancels the driving aids. Next, a large screen here, which is touch sensitive. You can view settings, car details, history, trip info like energy consumption, energy flow, and more. If you want to see it, the phone, if you've connected it via Bluetooth. The music here, so to activate the audio, you select an audio source, for example, the Fit, there you go, and you can listen to music. We also have the global positioning system here this way, and if you want the global positioning system, your subscription has expired. That's a shame, I didn't know. So, well, subscribe if you want to get the global positioning system map back, but honestly, it's not worth subscribing. You have Google Maps or Waze or Maps on your phones, honestly. That's more than enough. The car's global positioning system in 2025 today is useless for me. Everyone has smartphones unless you don't. And I think that nowadays, someone who buys this kind of car and doesn't have a smartphone, well, that's pretty rare. A handy, practical head-up display. So you can't see it at all either, because it's daytime or the refresh rate makes it invisible. But here, there's a little outline and other things along with the speed. Then here, we find some slightly padded parts here, a little trim for decoration, and it's also a bit padded here. On this side, we have the dual zone air conditioning that we can turn on. Heated seats, yes, ladies and gentlemen, heated seats for both people. We even have hill descent assist just in case if we're going off-road on this side. 2 USB ports, and that's a wireless charger. Personally, I prefer to charge my phone with a wired connection, so directly with the cable. Because it heats up less and it's also much faster, since we have fast charging with USB-C. You can still have Android Auto and CarPlay wirelessly, but I personally prefer to do it with a cable. Next, the gearbox here is very, very simple. So to operate it, you press the brake and pull the little trigger that's behind it. So now I'm in park, I can switch to reverse, which will directly bring up the cameras here for me. 360, there we go. So I don't know why. Oh yes, that's because I haven't started the car. To start the car, I put my foot on the brake first. Now it's really started. Now I can shift into reverse. I didn't put on my seatbelt. Is that why it's not happy? Well then, Pipette. There we go. Hybrid system stopped. Okay, press the brake pedal and start. Oh, right. I didn't start properly. I get it. All right, backing up then. The rear view camera switches to a front-facing, wide panoramic view when forward mode is selected. That's the license plate you see there, so that's a real advantage, and I can choose the angles I want. Next, the B mode. So parking is all the way at the top, reverse here, so it activates in color right here, then neutral, which turns green, and drive in blue right here. B mode is for regeneration during downhill driving, as discussed in this video. We'll get to test it out. We even have park assist, so the car can park itself. The drive modes here, we have 3 drive modes. What I really like is that the animation is very fast, very nice, and very stylish. We have normal mode, power mode, essentially sport mode, and eco mode available here. Me, I put the lot, but the blue one, I leave it in normal mode almost all the time. It's more practical. We have the electric vehicle mode to drive in full electric. If we have enough battery left, it can be pretty good. And then we can choose push here. To be in normal mode, I turn left to switch to snow mode. I turn right to switch to trail mode. For off-roading, it's best to keep the vehicle in normal mode. So we have a small piece of information on the dashboard. Look, it says trail snow, normal, then it disappears. So you really have to pay attention to it. On the left, snow, which is at the top right, I turn right. It shows up at the bottom left. It's a bit unusual. Normal mode shows nothing. Auto mode is convenient for city driving. The handbrake is the fingertip brake. Double cup holder is located here, holds a bottle of water. Toyota was very nice to let us have it. They even put some little mint candies in. Here, we have a storage compartment. You can put a pen, phone, etc. So pens, all that. I advise you to avoid that because since it's hard plastic, it's going to make noise inside. Business cards and other small items can be easily stored here or in your phone. If you haven't put it there, glove box here. It's a standard size. I doubt a 1.5L bottle would fit. I haven't shown you the seats yet. So it's a mix of fabric and faux leather right here with this kind of imitation. They're pretty comfortable. They offer good support. You can see here that there are side bolsters. And even on the seat itself, it's quite contoured, which gives you good support in this version. At the top, we have the large glass roof, and with the curtains that I pull like this, you can see it. It's slightly tinted with some film, though, but it's good to have the curtain. On this side, there's an LED that lights up directly for illumination, and the Save Our Souls button in case of an accident. If you want to adjust the mirror for when you open the doors, it doesn't have any lighting right here. However, you can see it this way and notice that it doesn't even have a card holder. I had never paid attention to that before. Toyota is cutting costs by removing lighting and only including a small card holder. Having some cash is handy for tolls, despite electronic toll passes being common. That's the Bluetooth microphone for phone calls. And you can see there's even another one for the passenger if both of you are talking. The rear view mirror is electrochromic, so it automatically tints at night, which means you don't have to mess with the little button today. And there you go, normally. We've talked about everything inside this car. The only remaining task is to test it on the road and assess its actual mixed fuel consumption and other aspects. All right, let's go. I'm taking you with me. Guys, here I am, this time driving this Yaris Cross all-wheel drive intelligent. 130 horsepower, four-wheel drive, intelligent four-wheel drive system. Only reset it when necessary. I'll do it immediately. Clear the data here, the trip information, the history, clear the data. I'm resetting to 0 liters and we're starting again. It's very, very hot today, 31 degrees. Here I am in full sunlight. The car spent the night in the sun. I turned on the air conditioning because the goal is to be comfortably settled in my car. I'm going to set it to 21.5. Exactly like usual because 21.5, I think that's ideal, so I'm going fully electric. Even though the car was running, there was still quite a bit of battery left. You should know that the advantage, since we have big hybrids, is that we can even use the air conditioning and so on. Even when stopped most of the time. There we go. Turn signal. Of course, I turned it off. My beep for the warning and so on because it's much more comfortable that way. The car just started. For example, the engine starts. You can hear it a little. Then I brake and it shuts off immediately. Anyway, it's a real hybrid car. It's very hot today, so let's see how it goes. In all conditions. Right now, I haven't plugged in my CarPlay USB, and there you go. I have my notebook. Wow, 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 wow. The music. It's on this side, or otherwise like this with the little dial you turn. I have to admit, I really like the little dial. That you turn. I'm switching back to drive. Careful not to go all the way down. That's the B mode. The B mode that you only use with Toyotas during steep downhill phases in the mountains and such. Once our battery is fully recharged, we can have engine braking. All right, I'm accelerating again now. So the engine restarts under certain conditions. There, and we're off. I have to admit, it's a bit warm with this on. Can I take it off? No, unfortunately, it's either fully closed in the middle or not closed at all. To be honest with you, you can still hear the engine working quite a bit. When you're accelerating on a flat surface, it's pretty standard, and it's true that when going uphill, it's a bit noisier than some other cars. You can shift gears a little earlier. The car optimizes fuel consumption while simultaneously managing electric energy and fuel usage. Sometimes driving at slightly higher speeds uses less gas because it reduces engine strain, injects less fuel, and allows the engine to run faster. Anyway, when it comes to fuel consumption, Toyota is known for being really, really good. Now, I'm heading out for 40 kilometers, and I'm going to keep this car for several days. So, I'll be able to give you a pretty interesting review after using it longer than usual, which means I can give you real stats about consumption and really about daily use with this car. At the end of this video, I'll give you all the consumption figures. Same here, I switched back to electric mode and I'm stopping here. Honestly, I usually have the auto hold feature here, which allows me to release the brake pedal. It's very comfortable. Little hold button, I really recommend it to most of you because that way I'm more relaxed. To be honest, at 31°C in full sun at 3 post-meridiem, the sun is very high. I admit that it still gets pretty hot. I might have liked this part to be a little more tinted so I could be a bit less hot. And now, since I put the camera here, well, since this light is long, I'm going to move the camera to a different spot. All right, I'm doing everything live for you guys. There you go. Nothing was planned. Here. Can you still see like this? Yeah, that's good. And it'll let me close this here, at least for myself. And then, if I notice a bit less heat inside, I can close both of them, which are manual, and it's pretty quick. On the other hand, it's true that on the road it would be more convenient to have a little button here, but usually we just close it and feel it right away when stopped. I wanted to leave it open to test at the same time, and it allows me to give you the best feedback afterward to know how things go. There is still a thermal treatment done on the lenses. That way, there's a thin ultraviolet film that's applied directly with the lens. But to be honest with you, it was still a little bit hot in the middle of summer under the full sun. While the steering is quite pleasant, I switched back to electric mode. You get that little electric sound you hear up to 25, 26 kilometers per hour. Then in electric mode, there's no more sound. I have to admit, it's very comfortable going down in electric mode like this on a slight descent. I think I'll even be able to play on the side for quite a while. The main advantage of a hybrid car is its electric power, and with each braking, energy is regenerated. That's still a big, big plus. I'm accelerating a bit to pick up speed. We have more than enough with 130 horsepower. Most of the time, that's enough. Here, it's perfect to merge in. Here, for example, it's 110, so what I'm going to do is set the cruise control to 110, even though I'm in the right lane. Set it to 110 with adaptive cruise control for lane centering. Remember to press the button first. So each time I can let myself be driven this way, I must admit that's still a great advantage of these recent cars. It's all these driving assists.
To driving.
Before, France lacked sufficient radars, so now new models must be added. Carpooling, so I don't know if a lot of people carpool. Feel free to tell me if you often drive alone in your car or if you carpool. That would be quite interesting. We're accelerating slightly, but we'll soon return to 90. Being in the Paris region means traffic jams form quickly. On the topic of traffic jams, the electric hybrid car is really ideal. Toyota, by the way, is going to focus more and more on electric. They prioritize a hybrid approach during their transition phase, choosing to begin with hybrid first, for years and years now. Now they're pushing PHAVs, which are the transition to electric, and then fully electric in a few years. Since, from what we understand, Europe doesn't give us a choice. At 90 kilometers per hour, to be honest, it's still really good, even in terms of noise, soundproofing, and so on. It's not bad. We're actually pretty well off. The fabric seats aren't leather, so they get hot when the car is left in the sun with the roof open. Personally, I often recommend fabric because it's just not as hot as leather.
Police reported on your route.
We switch to 70 here, there we go, and I go back down to 70. It goes down by 5 each time. Okay, let's turn right here. Come on, sir, we need to go this way now.
You are entering a control zone.
All right, here we go. 70 control zone. Another advantage of driving aids is that we won't go over the limit, since we know we're using cruise control. 70, and it's honestly well soundproofed. Even compared to the outside noise, I think it's really decent. We're going through a tunnel. The dung-dung sound is because I wasn't holding the steering wheel. Even here in the tunnel, it's really not bad. We have single-pane windows, and honestly, I'm quite surprised. It's still pretty well soundproofed. So inside, it's something very simple. You have the screen here, but no lighting, no ambient features, etc., etc. Like some slightly higher-end cars, we just have a small LED by the door handles. The head-up display is a crucial option to consider. It's a genuine must-have feature. It prevents constantly checking the speedometer. Honestly, it's quite effective. Since we left, we've averaged 3.8 liters, really not bad.
A control zone?
For those who followed on my Instagram, sports mechanics as well, I was in Menorca a few days ago for 5 days. I had a Toyota CHR so bigger than this, and I averaged 3 liters 7 per 100 kilometers in 5 days, using it almost every day on the small island of Menorca. And I found it very pleasant. Honestly, it was great. In terms of consumption, it was great. And the hybrid aspect, I think for daily use, it's great. Here, for example, I'm in electric mode, braking, regenerating, and I stop. And my hold, which allows me not to have to keep my foot on the brake. I'm gonna try to merge a bit more sportily, see how it goes. As soon as I pass this area, let's go. It's accelerating enough again, so we've got 130 horsepower. That guy doesn't want to let me pass. Come on, let's go. Now, what I'm doing, again, is turning up my cruise control. It's gonna be 90 soon. Anyway, since I'm with people, it's gonna go hop. It's just this side here where the car sometimes takes a little bit of time to shift gears when we've sped up. Well, yeah, we use it even more. Like this, sir, of course. Or sometimes when accelerating again, it can be a little noisy. But once it stabilizes, it's fine. It makes less noise. Complicated for some, we move back to the right. It's simple and 90 steady speed. Right away, as soon as we're no longer going uphill, it shifts gears again. Someone overtakes on the right, just like that. On the truck lane, okay, there are some dangerous drivers today. 90, so steady speed, just a bit. The engine, it's still relatively fine. The gearbox still varies a little. It adjusts, it's automatic. It's even more automatic than an automatic gearbox because here there aren't really any real gears. With Toyota, it's kind of like scooters, some kind of variators, a big variator. You can control it more or less. Afterwards, I find it pleasant. The benefit is the lack of gear shifts and jerks, which makes it still quite consistent. Maybe sometimes it's just a little bit noisier. Here, I'm right next to a truck. I can hear it a little bit. but it's still relatively fine. We increased the consumption a little bit because of the accelerations and everything on the big climb, but it's going to go down a bit, so we'll get back to the same point we were at originally. So everything that goes up has to come down, and the truck that's going over the speed limit. I'll get back behind him as soon as I can because I'm at 90 within the speed limit. I always drive with my assists at the right speed. And then I end up in huge traffic jams again. And then I'm off for an hour and 15 minutes for 28 kilometers. Finally, plans changed due to too many traffic jams. I'm turning back. I'm going to Boulogne, to my girlfriend's place, and that way I'll go straight to the concert at Bois de Boulogne. That'll save me from spending 3 hours on the road. Normally, it was supposed to take 40 minutes, 45 to get there and 40 minutes back. And now it turned into more than 3 hours. Right now, I'm going downhill with a fully recharged battery. That's when B mode is used. Is important because the B mode will start the engine to provide engine braking. Since the battery is full, you can't recharge a full battery. So this time, the engine starts to give me engine braking and slow down the car a bit so I don't have to use the brake pads. When I accelerate again, I switch back to electric mode anyway, and the engine restarts without consuming fuel. Of course, just to get engine braking, the engine is running, so we have engine braking. No fuel is being injected, it's just energy recovery. Then, when we go back to level ground, we can switch back to D mode so the engine doesn't run all the time. There you go, but the best thing is to use drive mode in all conditions until the battery is full. Once the battery's full, you can switch to B mode only when going downhill to keep getting engine braking, which you automatically get as electric braking when you're in drive mode and you brake. So what you need to know is that almost all the time, when I brake using the brake pedal in D mode, drive mode, I'm braking electrically. First, except when my battery is full, in which case the brake pads will directly brake, but otherwise, except when going downhill in the mountains, it's almost always in the city. That way you'll be braking electrically, and it's only at the very end, the last 10 or 15 kilometers per hour, that you'll use the brake pads on the discs. So clearly, if you anticipate and really play along with smooth driving, smooth and so on, your brake pads will last nearly 200,000 kilometers, which is a significant advantage. Let's be honest, you'll have to change your discs much less often and your brake pads much less often. Except maybe in the mountains where, indeed, you brake a little more because it's always downhill, or there, you're really in a different situation. What? For example, it only braked at the end. Otherwise, almost every time I slow down, it's electric braking, and here, for example, the whole way down. I recharged substantially during almost the entire transition phase where I'm going to cross Boulogne here all the way to the Porte de Saint-Cloud at the Paris des Princes Stadium. Well, at that point, I'll be on electric. I'm averaging 4.7 liters per 100 kilometers unless I press hard on the pedal. I'll give you a little debrief at the very end. And a bit of night driving, because I allow myself to drive at night. Afterwards, then, this little concert I attended in Boulogne, so that's what it looks like. I'm going to get back in line here because there's no one left, so you can see the LED lighting, which really lights up well. It's a beautiful light. Right now, I'm using normal headlights. Low beams, you can see it's clear. Okay, just a quick flash of the headlights. There you go. And that's it in the end. 4.2 liters on average, so I've arrived at my destination. Or the alert messages, I don't care. Okay to mute them. Yes, okay, and normally I have my little stats here so you can see. Over 41.3 kilometers, 3.9 liters on average, which seems much more accurate for a Toyota. And that's not bad. 3.9 liters over 41 kilometers. Toyota's hybrid is really always top-notch. Today is a new day for me. For you, it's just a few seconds later, I'm going to drive on the highway, 160 kilometers to cover. Today, round trip. So here, I'm merging in, it's 110 here, like I always say. Well, it's true that when merging and so on, the engine revs up pretty quickly. It always goes up in RPMs, but once you know, you get used to it, that's how it is. On the other hand, when you see the fuel consumption, you think, it's not a big deal, you can let it rev up a little. Okay, now I have to get over there. I'm accelerating again. So the 130 horsepower is more than enough. You can overtake and you can merge every time I slow down. Same thing, even at high speed. In any case, it switches back to electric during all braking phases. Alright, now I'll just do a bit at 110 for you and then at 130. Quite a few kilometers to do at 130, so that's good. It'll be different from the test I did for you last time. When we tried this car for the first time, I really prefer to see it in everyday use, over several days, to really see its strengths and weaknesses. And by the way, I think that in the future, I'll try to do more and more of what I'm doing here. That's what I used to do before. I would keep the cars for several days each time to give you real feedback. When we test them rapidly at international presentations, it's very impressive. Because I'm often one of the first in the world to be able to test these cars, but I think it would be interesting to try them again a little later, with a use where we have more time, where we can really see the practical side and so on. And the real fuel consumption, not just on a short test drive, defined by the brand that says, well, let's optimize the fuel consumption a bit because this loop is great for fuel efficiency. Today it's 33 deg C. I drove through traffic jams in the city, giving you the real experience. It made me realize that the air conditioning actually uses quite a lot of electricity. And you can immediately tell, actually, when the air conditioning is running and the engine restarts quite often when you're stuck in traffic. But there's still this hybrid aspect that allows you to keep a good fuel economy. Still, because actually every time you regenerate energy by recharging during braking, there are quite a lot of people. All right, don't move, we're merging. Let's go. Pedal down, we're merging in here. And I hope there won't be too much traffic today. Normally it should be fine. Okay, I'm getting back in here. We've got power. We've got something honestly more than enough. You can feel that as soon as you press the pedal a little. There's that electric feel with the instant torque. Though it's not a real electric car where the torque is overwhelming. But since there's still some electric power immediately, even if the engine takes half a second to catch up, for instance, I can already feel the electric side pulling me, and then I get that extra boost. Power thanks to the gas engine kicking in, and it's true that, well, here, we get all the power when the gas and electric engines are combined. Well, the goal isn't to floor it all the time, so you can actually get decent fuel consumption. I always drive in normal mode. I don't find sport mode much more useful. So what I'm gonna do is set it here, 110, so I keep pressing up like this, 110 here. Once we start driving, we'll see. There will be several stretches at 130 km/h. I'll provide the consumption figures again. I have 64 kilometers left before the break I need to take, and in 64 kilometers, I'll let you know. I think I had 80-something to do today. Well, on this way, and then there's the return trip. This time will be a real mix. It starts in the city, then moves to the highway, and then currently at 110 going uphill then, highways at 110 plus 130. The fact that I'm at a higher speed means the engine revs less right away than when you're at low acceleration, and you really have to speed up and get the car moving. At 110 km/h, there's already inertia. Honestly, it's still fine, with just a little wind noise starting to appear. I'm accelerating a little bit again. To be honest, I don't know. My engine's revolutions per minute. Wait, hold on. If I switch to sport mode, I have the revolutions per minute displayed. In the head-up display, the revolutions per minute visibility is good compared to many hybrid cars these days, where it's often hidden. At around 110 km/h, I'm at about 2,500 revolutions per minute. So I was going slightly uphill, and now it stabilizes again. I'm on a flat road, and I'm at about 2,000 revolutions per minute. About 2,000 revolutions per minute. Honestly, I can barely hear the engine at all. I have a little bit of road noise. The road noise, it feels like it's coming a bit from the back, and you can hear it a little bit in the car, but it's really not bad at all. A little bit of wind noise on the roof from the side, it's okay. And the fact that it's closed also makes the curtain side a bit more soundproof. Well, I'm actually even below 2,000 revolutions per minute here at 110 actually. Depending on the area, really the variator side, well, that's the advantage. It can make quite a difference. All right, I'm gonna go up to 130. Let's go, pedal to the metal. For 110 to 130, it picks up again. There. Indeed, the engine gets louder and I reach 130. 130, we're overtaking. I revved up to 5,000 revolutions per minute. Gradually, it's decreasing and continuing to drop slightly. And now it stabilizes between, it's still fluctuating a little bit, So that's what's quite special. We're not accustomed to this speed track. Typically, we're at 130. At 127, I'm at 2000 RPM. At 130, I'm at 2200 RPM, for example. With this variable transmission, the car will play around a little, even on flat ground. And make sure that the RPM is never exactly the same, precisely to manage fuel consumption better and so on. I can't wait to see how it's going to turn out. So, the next outing. Never's in 43 kilometers, so now I'm doing 43 kilometers at 130 kilometers per hour. And we'll see the fuel consumption. So that means I had 80-something, so I have 50% highway at 130. I didn't tell you what I was hearing at 130. 130. A little more wind noise, a little more road noise. The engine still remains pretty quiet, just a bit of wind noise coming from the side. So it's pretty rare for it to come from the pillar. But you just put on a little music. I also tested the JBL sound system, and honestly, it's actually pretty good. All right, I'll get back to you in 41 kilometers now, and I'll stay at 130 the whole time. I'll be able to do the famous 0 to 100, known all over the world on the channel. I'm straightening up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And 25 already. 35, 38, 45, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Yeah, that's not bad. 130 horsepower is more than enough. That's it. We don't need more. It's good. It works well. It has 130 horsepower, you know. The best for everyday use, I think between 130 and 150, is ideal for daily driving. So, I just made the trip to the exit, and this time, the average went up to 5.3 liters. So, you can see that there's an increase on the highway because obviously on the highway you're going faster, so it uses more fuel. The hybrid, well, it's super comfortable when there are braking phases, but on the highway there are almost never any braking phases. It runs at a constant speed, so the engine runs nonstop. That's it. We've gone down to an average of 5.3 liters, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes on the trip. That's the average since I got the car. Well, I'm here now, I've arrived. The average went back up to 5.2 liters, and there you go. As I leave like this, it's going to show me my consumption. 5.9 liters. Look, I'm filming it for you like this. There you go, focusing. 5.9 liters over 78.6 kilometers. So we can see that on the highway, it actually consumes quite a bit more. I did some accelerations, boosts, and 0 to 100 runs, and this is the result. The car's usage is 5.2 so far. I'm driving back tonight, and we'll keep it for a few more days. So I'll give you another little recap, really, at the very end of this test, but it's actually quite pleasant. The driving aids are good. The only thing I would complain about is that the steering wheel often asks me, "Hey, aren't you holding me?" I'm used to leaving my hands like this, and I have to admit, a capacitive Toyota steering wheel would be perfect. Anyway, I'll catch up with you maybe tomorrow, or the day after. I don't know about you, but that's the end. For the real debrief and fuel consumption of this car with high beams on at night in the countryside, what you need to know is that below 30 kilometers per hour, the high beams turn off. And when you go back above 30 kilometers per hour, they turn back on. The high beams automatically turn back on in automatic high beam mode, which is worth noting. The nighttime lighting is really good. This time, when there's absolutely no one around, you can see that it lights up really well, especially with the LED in white. Honestly, it's really good when it turns on and off automatically. It does the job very well. And with the return trip then, an average of 5.5 liters. There, I've almost emptied half the tank, and when I leave, boom, I switch to B. I forgot the ignition. How much did I use on this trip? Return 6 liters this time on the way back over 78.6 kilometers. All right, so after a week of using this Toyota, what did we think about it? The car is very pleasant for daily use. The hybrid feature is always a real advantage for city driving, which I've always appreciated. The hybrid aspect brings more power, more torque, and less fuel consumption. The nice thing is that at every stoplight, we're always in electric mode, so there are no vibrations, no noise, and so on. We're dealing with a car that consumes very little fuel for its size and weight. And above all, it's an all-wheel drive version. So, all-wheel drive. Not all the time, but when you need it, it does the job very, very well. I'm tempted to retake it this winter to visit the snowy mountains. Hey, don't hesitate to remind me in the comments. If you're watching this video in November or December, leave a little comment. Nico, you said you were going to the mountains. The videos continue to attract views for years, with many viewers returning to videos, even sometimes from 3 or 4 years ago. And thanks again for that. So I think it could be interesting to see precisely in tough conditions how it behaves. Feel free to let me know if that's something you're interested in. If there are also a lot of people who go to the mountains, or if you sometimes go on long trips, it could be interesting. As for the consumption, as we saw, it's honestly pretty reasonable. I like it. We're around 5 liters, more or less. If you don't drive on the highway, you'll very easily be around 4 liters, 4.5 liters, if you drive smoothly. For me, on this mix of routes, I got a little over 5 liters, between 5 and 5.5 liters, with a real mix, a lot of Paris region driving, traffic jams. And above all, it was very, very hot. So that means the air conditioning was really running constantly and at full power, because we really needed to cool down the cabin. I have to admit, I thought it was a good car. The trunk is more than enough for me. The Yaris Cross is spacious, roomy, and offers all the necessary options. I recommend it. Well, yeah, clearly, I'd also like to try it in a version without any options. By the way, I asked Toyota if they have a basic entry-level version without all the options. Because I know that some of you like the entry-level versions, not necessarily the top-of-the-line ones, even though more and more people are choosing the higher-end versions. Now, lease with option to buy, which allows you to add a few more options. And it costs you just a little bit more each month sometimes. There's a better buyback value in the end. And by the way, if you're interested, maybe I'll make a video on how to buy your car properly. Lease with option to buy, long-term rental, credit, etc. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. See you soon for another video. Bye.